Hey music teacher friend, I'm so glad to see you today. Thanks for stopping by. There are three basic ideas I'm going to go into in this video today. First of all, we're going to go over a very basic structure that you can use to plan your lessons to help you really get going in a very efficient way. The second thing is we're going to talk about a lesson bank and how can you set that up so that you don't have to think of stuff every single week. And the third thing is how detailed do your lessons really need to be, and when do you need a detailed one and when do you just need an outline. And here's a little tip, how to use AI to make your life a little easier. Now if you stick around to the end, I've got a whole bunch of tips towards the end that will help you in another way, so please make sure that you stay all the way to the end. Feel like you are a new or newer, or just feel like a new music teacher, and you find that you spend hours and hours planning your lessons every week, or maybe you just wing it and fly by the seat of your pants, I'm going to say neither of those choices are particularly helpful for your longevity as a music teacher. So today we're really going to talk about some tips and tricks on how you can minimize your planning time and even batch it during the week so that you do not have to have that 3 or 4 hours on Sunday or staying super late or any of those crazy things to create the lessons that are engaging and fun and keep your students moving forward on a trajectory towards the goal that you have for them. If this topic is helpful to you, please like it, please subscribe so that that helps other music teachers find this channel, and also think about sharing it with a music teacher friend that you have that maybe needs this information. Yeah, thank you for that. I'm going to start this with the assumption that you have an overall plan for where you're going with your students. Now, some districts, some school districts, some school areas have that plan put in place for you. It's often called a scope and sequence. So the scope is where are we going, and the sequence is how we're going to get there. That's why it's called a scope and sequence. That's kind of basic, but hey, you're a new or newer music teacher, so I'm starting with the basics. If you do have a scope and sequence, then that is where we start. Like, where are we actually going? You always start with that. But once you have your where are we going, your basic lesson plan can have three parts. If you see your kids for a half an hour or 45 minutes or an hour, usually that's as long as lessons are, they might go longer, you're going to break your lesson into three basic parts. First of all, you're going to have a warm-up or some kind of an intro or a sponge activity or something that gets them in the room and gets their brain ready to learn. You have to get their brain ready to learn before they can accept anything else that you do. So that means that you might do a yoga activity, you might do a vocal warm-up, you might do a rhythm activity. You're going to do lots of different things that gets their brain ready for music. So that part of your day usually takes between 5 and 8 minutes, depending on how long of an actual time you have with them. The second part of your lesson is going to be the core part of your lesson. If you're teaching a half-hour class, that's usually about a 15 to 20 minute lesson. And each day that you see them or each session that you see them in, you're going to build on that, usually for 3 or 4 weeks until you've kind of finished that arc of learning, and then you move on to a new topic, right? So let's say that it's back to school and you're doing a getting to know you unit, and that core section would probably start with some name games. It would include getting their seating chart. It would include finding out what they know about music. So maybe you're doing some little rhythm activities, some echo activities. You're having them sing some fun songs, and you're just noticing. You're doing a lot of pre-testing and noticing what the kids can and cannot do. Once you finish that core part of your lesson, then you're going to have a little ending. So you're going to have some kind of a reflection or a closing activity. So maybe that closing activity is a game. Maybe that closing activity is a song that you always sing. Maybe that closing activity is a reflection. What did you learn today? What was easy? What was hard? Turn and tell your neighbor. What was the most interesting thing you did today? That will help the kids to bookend the class so that they feel like they started and they're welcomed, and then they feel like, oh, we really did a thing today, and they can walk out feeling complete. So that's a very simple structure to plan your lessons. The second tip I have for you is to create a lesson bank. Now, this sounds a little weird, and when I first heard that term, I was like, okay, what actually what actually is that? Am I doing that? Do I need to do that? Should I do that? I've been teaching for over 20 years. Do I have a lesson bank? Yes, of course I have a lesson bank. This is a collection of lessons that you found. Maybe you did some lessons during your student teaching. Maybe your cooperating teacher handed you all kinds of stuff that you could just, oh my gosh, this is great. I have this and now I can use it. Maybe you have observed some different classrooms and you're like, ooh, I'm going to do that. Maybe you've watched a ton of YouTube and you've seen um, a bunch of lessons that other people have done and you're like, that looks like a bunch of fun, so let's do that. So however you found your lessons, collect them. Now, what do you do with them? Because this year, the last couple of years, I've been going through my files. I'm getting close to retirement, and so I've been going through my files going, did I ever actually do this lesson? And throwing a bunch of stuff away. Because after time, you'll collect so many lessons, you'll be like, I don't even remember what I have. But while I'm going through that process, I'm putting them into sections in my file drawers according to the units that I teach in. And again, in my boot camp, I go through those units and help you get set up so that you actually have a place to put things that have to do with rhythm, that puts things that has to do with melody, that put things that have to do with cultures, international cultures in particular, that put things that have to do with movement. So that in your file, whether that be binders or a file drawer, you actually have a place to put those, and that's what we call a lesson bank. The way that I organize them is I organize them from the simplest activity to the most advanced. During COVID, when we came back from COVID, I realized that kids were in all kinds of different places as far as their ability was concerned. So what I expect from a fourth grader may not be, what a fourth grader can do. Or maybe I have in my third grade class, I have a special needs third grade class that has lots and lots of kids who have all kinds of issues. And so they are not quite to the level where my advanced academic kids might be. So if I start from easy and I go to hard, then I can pick the right activity at the right level that fits that particular group. So try that in your organization. Collect all these great lessons. Yes, you need to have lots of options of what to do, but organize them by topic and by subject so that you know where to find them. The next issue is, how formal should your lesson plans be? And that really is about your school and your administration and what they require. Some schools do require formal lesson plans for every single week, and you have to turn them in and all of that. I think that's ridiculous because we are professionals. We know what we're doing for the most part. Maybe your first year you have to do that, and then they kind of relax after a while because they want to know that you have a plan. In some districts in the music department, they're like, you're fine, just make sure they don't kill each other and you're good to go. And they don't really pay attention. It sort of depends where you are. Regardless, you might have that question of, actually, how much do I need to plan? How detailed do I need this plan to be? And in the beginning, when you're first starting out, you're going to want to be a little bit more detailed. And yes, it will probably take you more time that first year to plan than it does in later years. But an outline is usually enough. And then attaching or linking to, if you do it digitally, the actual lesson plan. So I wouldn't necessarily write down every single step that I do within a lesson because I have that lesson plan in a book somewhere. So you kind of want to, sometimes you have to have it written down. So when you have an observation, for example, a formal observation, your principal's coming in, they want to see the lesson plan, they want to see your lesson plan book or your file or whatever. And they want to see that, and they want to see step by step. What is your plan? What are you doing? How are you extending the lesson? How are you modifying the lesson? They want to see all the things. Eventually, you're just going to be able to do an outline and not really worry about that so much. And on a daily basis, you're probably going to more do with an outline than you are going to be with a formal lesson plan. That outline will definitely save you time because writing a formal lesson plan does take a minute. It takes a bit of time. Remember, in all of that, you do have some digital helpers, right? AI is out there. ChatGPT, a number of different AI tools are out there to help you write those formal lesson plans up. If you take your outline and you take it and you put it into ChatGPT and say, please write me up a formal lesson plan for this idea, then it will do that for you. Oh, magic of the 2025 world and how we have AI. So use your AI, use it wisely. All right, you stayed to the end. That means you get some of the shortcuts. So shortcuts for planning. First of all, in your first year, you're going to start everything from the beginning. I use an old-fashioned lesson plan book. This is a weekly lesson plan. There's lots of really pretty ones on the market. I'm cheap, and I use this kind of plan that has 8 columns. I put the grades across the top, and then I put the first day that I see them here, and the second day that I see them here, and if I see them a third day, it's here. Down at the bottom, I put all kinds of procedures that we're practicing, new procedures that we're learning, and use it every day, every week. I am a very visual person, so this works for me. Now, this is a blank one. Let me show you one that I used for realsies. All right, so here is a realsies setup. This was for September 23rd. I wrote a note up here that said that there was field day at a certain point. This is where I write anytime that there is an assembly or a day off or anything, or a holiday or anything like that, I write it across the top. I have the unit that I'm working on here, and you can see that I use a little sticky note when I realize that, oh, this class didn't do this thing, or I have to make sure that they do something. I use these little small sticky notes to keep me on track for the next week. Otherwise, I forget what that class did. Once I move to a new week, I use a binder clip to clip it, and then I can turn immediately to that page when I open up the book, and I don't have to worry about where I am. I put this on a music stand behind my desk, and I use that for reference as I go through the week. Another tip I have for you as far as planning is to get an academic calendar. This is a physical calendar. Yes, of course, you can always look at your phone and use your calendar there, but this is on this calendar I put only school events. When I plan all my performances, I put those on here. If I have other school events that I do, I put those on here. This is an academic calendar. You can pick one up at any office supply store, Walmart, Target, whatever, and get that, because it has saved me so many times when I'm like, wait, when did I say that the second grade was going to do their thing? Oh, yeah. Oh, there's band concert that day. That doesn't affect me, but I have to know that I'm not going to have classes that day. So when I see specific activities for our school or for our music department, then I know what's going on with this particular calendar. Second tip. A couple of ideas of where to get lessons other than Instagram and YouTube, which you probably already know if you are just out of college. You are well aware of YouTube. There are 2 particular curriculums that I really, really love. Well, 3 actually. So our school district has a subscription to Music Play Online, and that does have unit plans that you can basically just walk through. So if you've got nothing else to go by, that is a great place to start. Ask your school district if they can get you a subscription for that. Totally worth it. The game plan is a little bit older system. Some of them are not in print anymore, but if you can get your hands on the game plan, it is fantastic. It's a very nice mix of ORF plus Kodai plus whatever, and I got to tell you, I use it for K1 and 2 almost straight out of the book. I tried that the first couple of years I was at the school I'm at. I had never used this particular system before, and I've got to tell you, by the time my kindergartners got to 3rd grade using this system, they were right on track for 3rd grade level work, and it was amazing. It was amazing. They knew exactly what they were supposed to do. Their skill level was exactly what it's supposed to be. I love this. Love it. So many games, so many fun activities, and it's very, very easy to follow. So they've got all the things you need and all the things to do and how to actually present the lesson. It's very great. And then an old tried and true, I used this when I was student teaching in the district where I was student teaching. Every single school had a set of this, so I went to my new school in a different district and I was like, no, we need to buy that. And then I went to another school and I went, no, we need to buy that. So I've purchased it a couple of times. But this last school that I'm at, we did not have it, but somebody else was getting rid of it. And I went, oh, I will take them all. So now I have 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, and 6th grade books of the Share the Music. I also have the CDs, which are great for the recordings and the listening and the dances and hearing. What I really love about the recordings is the kids get a chance to hear authentic instruments from the wherever that song is from. There's songs from lots of different cultures in here. The pictures are a little dated. It's from the 1990s mostly. But even if you don't use everything in one of these books, this is a great resource for you. So if you go to a particular lesson, what you'll find, oh, this is one that I love. You'll find that on the side over here, there's you don't have to recreate the wheel. You don't have to make it up. I mean, science teachers don't have to, math teachers don't have to, why do we? So this is a how to do the lesson, what's in the unit, that's an actual encore, but what's in the unit all together. You get some listening, they even have quizzes and all kinds of really fun things. So this is a great place to look for resources for music if you don't have something to do. Like if you don't know, like what am I going to do? There's usually an index in the back and there's a topical index so that you can look and see, oh, I need something from, Brazil that teaches half notes, right? There's an index in the back to help you with that. So use the resources that you have. I bet if you look through your closet in your new school or at your current school, you're going to find a lot of treasures. So look for the treasures. Thanks for staying to the end. I'm recording this while I'm on break this summer, but whether you are watching it during your break or during the school year, I really appreciate you stopping by and learning a little bit more about some tips and tricks on how to make your lesson planning a little less painful and a little more efficient as you go along. From year to year, you're going to find you use a lot of the same kinds of things, like what I did in September last year is probably what I'm going to do in September this year, with a few little, zhuzhes up a little bit here and there. But for the most part, after you get through your first year, you'll just sort of rinse and repeat as you go along. As I mentioned earlier, there's a boot camp coming up, so if you are interested in that, just drop boot camp in the comments and I will send you information about that. If you would like to talk to me about one-on-one mentoring, I'm also available to help you throughout the school year. Some schools have an induction program where they help you through the whole year, and some do not. But people who have an induction program tend to stay in teaching longer because they feel supported and loved and cared for and nurtured. So if you would like to be, cared for and loved and nurtured through the school year and you want me to do that, I am available to do that as well. Thank you and have a fantastic day, whether this be your break and you get to relax or you're right back into the school day tomorrow. So have a great day.